We have all heard the recent news about how Erika Kirk is contemplating suing Druski for $100 million. She is very fed up and tired of how Druski supposedly made her look silly, when in fact, Druski just did exactly what she did on stage. And he didn't even call her out by name. Furthermore, he didn't even use her name. He did exactly what she did on stage during that fundraiser right after her husband was assassinated in public. That was strange to me. And it's even more strange and even more pathetic how she is attempting to sue Druski, which is a comedian that she doesn't even know, that makes satirical, comedic videos online. He's just making fun of people, guys. And furthermore, he is bringing to the limelight, and I think he's been a part of this in a way that he didn't even intend on becoming a part of. He is now ingrained within this whole drama, and good for him. He is getting a lot of eyes and a lot of attention, and I don't know if he even planned for this. I'd like to think that he may have, but I don't think he knew to the extent that it would grow and how quickly it would grow. But here's the question. I already covered that in another video that went pretty insanely viral. My next question is, why is Erika Kirk attempting to sue a comedian, Druski, for a satirical, comedic video that he posted on YouTube, and yet she hasn't said a fucking peep about Candace Owens. Candace Owens, right after the Charlie Kirk assassination, was very, very vocal. In fact, she went live every single day with new evidence and new revelations as to what exactly happened in Salt Lake City on that day that caused Charlie Kirk to be killed, murdered, maybe even executed, assassinated in front of everyone. It had a lot of holes in this story, and they covered it up immediately. The person that supposedly was the shooter, there's a lot of holes in that, guys. It just didn't seem logical to me, and I'm not the conspiracy guy. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but just like the JFK assassination or the Martin Luther King assassination, these stories didn't add up. The evidence didn't correlate with what actually occurred that day. And it seemed very, very suspicious. And Candace Owens was brave enough to go online and call people out by name, including Erika Kirk. And Erika Kirk didn't say shit. She didn't say anything. She knew Candace Owens. She knew that her husband was best friends with Candace Owens. And yet she remained completely silent. Completely silent. She didn't say a damn thing about that. And yet, when this comedian comes out, she now has her panties in a giant bunch, in a wad, and she is crying, "Oh, poor me," on the internet. You're the one that did that. Dude, you're the one, Erika, that got out in front of millions of grieving people and just acted like a celebration. My husband's dead. My husband's dead. Fireworks. Is my makeup okay? It's ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous. I don't know what foreign government planned that assassination. I do know that that was a very orchestrated maneuver. That was not a coincidence. Was it because he was intending to say something that would potentially disparage someone that's in our government or is a part of another foreign government? I don't know. That remains to be seen. What I do know is Erika Kirk didn't even go after Candace Owens. And if she's not going to go after Candace Owens, that must mean that Candace Owens must have said something that was true. She didn't want things to get out. Because if she makes a legislative move against Candace Owens, then things will get out. There will have to be an investigation. And she did not want an investigation. It's not that she wanted to put it behind her. She's the one that got on stage with a bunch of fireworks and acted like it was the 4th of July. So clearly she wasn't grieving like she should have been, and that was strange. And Druski, he just called it out. He just made a mockery of it in a very, I would say, appropriate way. It wasn't like he went off the rails at all. He didn't pull a Tim Dillon. He just, and by the way, I love Tim Dillon. I love Tim Dillon. But Druski didn't do that. He just made a mockery of it because it was something that needed to be mocked. The American public, this entire time, up until Druski called it out, was just like, that was awfully strange. That was weird. That was fucking weird. I don't know what to think about that. Anyways, Super Bowl's on. Well, la-di-da-di-da. We have the next big thing. Who's going to win American Idol? That's what we do as Americans. We don't have time to sit and contemplate about certain historic events, and we downplay the historical significance of these events because we're bombarded with news consistently. We are consistently bombarded with news, and that, my friends, is probably intentional. The media is not your friend. That's why I strongly urge you to begin supporting creators like me, creators that actually go out on a limb and say things that could potentially get them in trouble. But yet they say it anyways because they have courage. I'm not just saying me, I'm saying there's tons of people online. And I'm not saying support me monetarily, I'm doing just fine. If you really want to support me, just like the video, just subscribe because I'm trying here. And I'm giving you guys an angle that no one else is willing to talk about because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to get sued, but bring it on. Bring on the lawsuit. I don't care. I will bust this whole thing open if I get threatened or sued in any sort of way. And so I dare you to sue me. I don't care. I'll drop everything I'm doing. I don't care. This needs to get out. And it's not getting out. You know, I had people in my last video say, she's not doing that. And the funny thing is about the internet, guys, is I have heard both sides. And both sides have just went right at one another, just like the people at the very top intended. That's all they want. They want us to fight amongst one another because then we won't hold hands and sing kumbaya and then look up and realize that the real criminals, the real enemies, are the people at the top that are meaning intentionally to divide and conquer us until we aren't strong enough and don't have the mental fortitude to contemplate what is actually going on within our society. That's the problem with politics. I don't care if you're right wing or left wing. I don't care if you are the get off my lawn guy on this side or if you're the tranny blue haired freak on this side. I don't care. I love you guys both. I think that we should realize that we have more commonalities than what would initially meet the eye. And by the way, I'm just making fun of you guys. I know that a lot of you guys actually care about these things, and to be honest with you guys, I care about things too. It may not be the same thing that you care about, but that's what politics or politicking is, right? We put something forward and then we state our case and we explain to the other side why it's important to us and why it matters and why it's important to them. I've had my mind changed many a times throughout my life. And if you're willing to change your mind, that means that you are growing as a person. Now, some things I'll hear someone out and I'll say, you know, I don't agree with that. You're crazy. The earth is not flat. I'm not agreeing with you. Go home, Ted. Go home. Your mom has made Hot Pockets and she called you 15 minutes ago. Go home. The world is not flat. On the other end of the spectrum, though, there are things that I'm willing to hear out. And I think that everyone within this community and everyone that watches this should be willing to hear out the other side. I think that we have much more in common, like I'd mentioned, than what the other side thinks about one another, because we are intentionally made to hate one another and to conflict with the opposing side when really we're not opposing. You know what we want? We want safety. We want security. We want our kids and our future kids and grandkids to have a better life than what we had. And we want to continue the American way, whatever that is. It's malleable, but we want prosperity and freedom. We want the ability to go online and say whatever we want. As long as it doesn't harm someone else, we can say whatever we want. And that's what Druski now is fighting for. It's the same thing that Afro Man was fighting for. We're fighting for America, and we should be fighting, because if you don't love something enough that you aren't willing to fight for it, then you're going to lose it. We are going to lose it, and we have lost it. We've lost this thing that was so precious to us because we've forgotten how special, how truly special it is. America is something that is meant to be nurtured. And these rights that we have, although they're diminishing and disappearing each and every single day, by the second, in fact, they're something that we should be proud of and that we should really take care of and we should be willing to fight for. These are the things that separate us from every other country. It's the fact that we can at least get up and say, fuck you to the king, whoever the king is. It doesn't matter what political party. And in fact, once the person becomes the king, the majority of people hate him anyways because the king doesn't keep his word. Now, right, king doesn't keep his word. We have the right to at least say, fuck you, and we can call him out. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, will it change anything? No. But at least the gestures can have a quick laugh at the people in power. And so that's a beautiful thing. And not to get sidetracked, but that's something that I really wanted to express to you guys after not only just the backlash, because it's been basically amazing. And I'm very grateful to have the audience I have, but I just want to make sure we stay on the right track here. We have to go after the people that are actually causing us harm as Americans and as people that belong to the world, in fact. America has this little safety net of a bubble around it to where we don't think consciously throughout our daily lives about what America is doing in foreign lands. And I think that's a massive problem, and I think that's a mistake because the people that are the recipients of that destruction and chaos don't forget. And so we better be very careful with the decisions that we make as a country because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. A wise man once said that. I think his name was like Colonel Sanders or something, but it's very good. That was a very appropriate thing to say at that time. Getting back to Erika, I don't know what she did exactly and how she was involved in this, but she was involved. I don't have undeniable evidence that she participated in this Charlie Kirk thing, but you know who did? Candace Owens. And so if Erika Kirk wants to go after Druski, which is just a kid, I know people that know Druski quite well. He's a very smart person. He's just a kid. He's a smart kid that knows how to create a rise on the internet, but nonetheless, he isn't attacking her personally. He was simply this thing has gotten way out of proportion, and it is out of proportion because of Erika Kirk. So if she's going to attack Druski, why doesn't she shift that anger towards Candace? Because then we can blow the lid off this entire thing. We'll actually get to the bottom of what happened that day and what actually happened to her husband. She wants to know, right? I think that is the first step to ending her grievances, if she has any. I don't know. I just don't know. This whole thing is crazy. I just want to say thank you to you guys too for being so supportive of my channel, and let's press her. Let's press her to go after Candace Owens, because then throughout disclosure, we will have receipts as to exactly what happened that day. I guarantee you she doesn't want to look behind that curtain, and she doesn't want us, the American people, people of the world, to see behind that curtain, because there might just be some cobwebs from her past that could really cause a damper on her reputation and might even send her to jail. I don't know. All I do know is I'm not the Candace Owens, Erika Kirk expert. All I do on this channel is call out things that are interesting to me and things that I would like to bring attention to, things that other people aren't willing to discuss. And so it's up to you guys. We're one big community. We can look at this thing together and come to conclusions together. So If you think that she was too hard on Druski, and instead, furthermore, why isn't she going after Candace? If you know the answer to that, let me know. Let me know below in the comments because I want to know. We all want to know. Thank you guys, and make sure you subscribe because I have some cool things coming up and I create a video each and every single day. I am growing and I am getting stronger, and that's only through the support of the beautiful people like you. I have one more thing to say. I know that I'm going on a tangent here, but this is what you guys signed up for. So if you're still listening, I just have to say that I'm relatively new on YouTube, and no bullshit, guys. The amount of really thoughtful and really intellectual comments and well thought out comments, and just the amount of comments I've received on especially my last video that gained a little bit of recognition, it was very moving to me because I'm like, wow, you know, everyone thinks that the internet is just full of a bunch of idiots, and at times people like me are, but you guys were very, very reasonable and very articulate and very thoughtful and very, I don't know, just, yeah, thank you guys, because you guys are really smarter than I thought. And not saying that I didn't think you guys were smart, but the comments that I'd received were very rewarding. And so thank you. I know that I'm at a loss of words now because I'm truly grateful for just having an amazing audience and having an audience that thinks things through and is well educated and articulate and able to express things and ask questions. That's the exact audience I want. That's why I created this to begin with. And so thank you guys very much. You guys mean the world to me. It means a lot. Thank you, and keep it up. I know I will.